right, we're gonna get started as others, if any others come in, they can just trickle in, catch on. I wanna thank all of you for coming today. I'm Keisha Bowens, principal here at Brooks Elementary, joined by one of our assistant principals, Mr. John Hatton, and our instructional coaches. Ms. Jennifer Rumble is our reading coach, and Ms. Ashley Junkin is our math coach. And so we're here today to talk about three really important laws, acts that are part of our school, things that we follow. And we're gonna look at federal programs, specifically Title I, which we are a Title I school, and then our Alabama Numeracy Act and Alabama Literacy Act. And it is required that we talk about these things and make sure that parents fully understand what these are and what they mean to our school. So we're gonna have Mr. Hatton come up. He's gonna tell you a little bit about federal programs in Title I and what that looks like at our school.
Okay. So I'll start with just a basic generic explanation. School systems, plural, all school systems in Alabama receive funding from basically three sources: federal funds, state funds, and then local funds. Those are the three broad headings. Every school system runs their financial program. Everything they do is based upon those three sources of funds. And the local ad valorem tax is probably the largest combination of monies that come to a school system from the local level. There are many others. There's some, from the Revenue Commission. There's also some the suet taxes, the online sales taxes, is another source. There are multiple, and any and all sales taxes, a percentage of that goes to local schools, and each entity, each county, let's say, they have a whole different sets of rules. Within each county, it's never the same, okay? But in Lauderdale County, it's pretty simple. There's two school systems in Lauderdale County, Florence City Schools and Lauderdale County Schools. And all the local funds are divided between those two school systems. Federal funds are different, and so let's talk about those. The last one, I'll tell you, it's the state. It's the largest revenue source, and those monies are determined on the state as a per pupil allocation. A percentage of dollars are determined at the state level. A certain cash and dollar is given to each child. It's funded from the fiscal year 25. This is beginning fiscal year 26, October 1st, and is when that will start. The fiscal year 26 budget is determined by the first 20 days of enrollment from fiscal year 25. So the budget, the monies that are being spent right now in this place are the fiscal year 25 for 2 more days, right? And then there will begin fiscal year 26. But all that money that was spent in 25 came from FY 24, the 24 enrollment numbers. So it always runs a year in arrears, is how that works. And so two things happen at the state. They send money based on that. The federal does the exact same thing. They send their allocations of funds based upon the number of students. Right? And federal programs are more than one source. And so I'll roll quickly through these slides. I think it's easier for me just to give a generic overall. Then, because there's a lot of deep weeds here, if y'all don't mind, I'll sit down where I can run this mouse, and she won't have to. I could use it from here, maybe. Okay. So, Mr. Jacob Fowler is the Director of Federal Programs for the school system. And so the purpose of this is to provide children with significant opportunities to receive that fair and equitable education. And Brooks Elementary is a Title I school. The Lauderdale County school system is a Title I district. Every school, all school sites in Lauderdale County are considered Title I eligible, and they all every school receives Title I funding, okay? So this is part of what we're here for today. We have to have a parental advisory committee, parental school compact, and we're to share these with you. Mr. Jacob Fowler is new in the role, and so when I go through these slides, you're gonna see there's some blanks because the budgetary numbers aren't finalized, okay? And so there's blanks there, and that's why I wanted you to know that.
When you mentioned those compacts came home, you might have remembered
Yes.
seeing those, the parent school
The
compacts.
parent school compact's already come out. Okay, so, the consolidated plan, the LEA's consolidated plan, most of those they're posted, on the school's website, and that consolidated plan is updated each year at the school board, excuse me, it's presented at a school board meeting, and it's approved at a different school board meeting, okay? There's windows of time for opportunity for parental comments, prior to and in between those meetings after a draft has been created, requests for edits or suggestions or improvements from the public or requested. You may have seen that advertised in some of the local, maybe the Courier, or maybe in the Times Daily. Those public things. Also, they're pushed out through social media on the Lauderdale County School System's website. You may receive notifications about those from there as well. So, the parents' right to know about the professional qualifications of classroom teachers, that's something that's required. And any documentation about this right to know always must be provided in the parents' language that they requested here, okay? So if you see at the bottom, it's gotta be given in English or Spanish, and it would not just be in Spanish. If there was a special other need, those are just the two more common ones, especially in our district, but need be, it could be translated into Korean, Mandarin, whatever, was the request. So, Title I, anything that's purchased with Title I funds, I'm just gonna point at this and say, let's say that this was any item that must be inventoried, and the school system keeps a running inventory of that. The state does a 5-year check on all of that. They'll come into a school at any point in time. They can drop it in during that time of evaluating, and they can say, I need to see this particular, I mean, they've got a itinerary, I mean, an itemized list of each item that was purchased. It could be that stand that phone's standing on. Anything that's gonna have a marker and a label that says this was purchased with Title I funds and that kind of thing. But let's say that thing broke. Well, then it's obsolete. It can be removed, said, damaged, broken, no longer usable, take it off the inventory. This thing could be the same way, ran 7, 8 years and died. Well, then it can be taken off. But those things are kept up. But if you notice at the very bottom, consumables and general classroom supplies do not get inventoried. I mean, if they were using construction paper or poster board or something, some kind of consumable, not required to be inventoried. So, the district uses Title I crate to keep up with all this stuff. I figure I can just describe it rather than go all that detail. That's how they do that, okay? All right? And so, so the Title I funding, and this was 25, and it's used as an example here because the fiscal 26 has not been, but this would show 1% is required for parental involvement, period. That's the federal law, that's the statute, that's the one thing that's required to be spent a certain way. There's no exceptions on that. And that's statewide, that's nationwide, okay? But you can see some of the things, the director's salary, the secretary's salary, and those ESGI call accelerated reader, those are things that are used by students. I'm sorry, call is sitting there.
Say we have an example.
I'm sorry. Ms. Strickland is one of the calls. And so salaries for elementary interventionists, some teachers, high school interventionists, social workers, ESL aides, art, and then anything from admin travel to admin supply, title and grade. And there's usually always an allocation. It varies from year to year for the homeless. Oftentimes, through federal programs, you can apply for separate funding for homeless, but you don't always receive those. Those are grant allocation funds. So generally the school system always puts some money aside into homeless. And so, I mean, any one of us in this room could be homeless tonight from a house fire. It could happen. Hope it doesn't to any of us, but it could. And so that's just a very harsh example. I wanted to, let you know it could be me tonight, And so that's something that we try to do. We use great discretion when we do that. Just for privacy, sometimes it may not be something as extreme as what I said. There could be domestic problems that the details don't need to be known. They just don't. But if the children need attention and it's caused a situation of homelessness and that kind of need, then we would have the ability to help. Okay, so I would say that all our school systems meet the rank and file, every one of them, so they're all in there. But here's some things that were funded last year in fiscal year 25, and so it's pretty a given. It would be, again, counselors, class size reduction units, contracted instructional reading and math interventionists at 6 different schools, and then school teams to determine the remainder of expenditures on each campus. And so it could be anything from like the parental involvement funds, but then the other thing to engage the community, it would also be including determining that. Now, there are 2 other federal funding sources that Florida County School System received. Title II, this one is just professional development. So and the allocation is much smaller. Roughly, I could tell you, since there's blank, I can give you rough numbers. Like 1.3 on the title, 1.3 million on the Title I, and then here in professional development, 300,000-ish. No quotes, okay? Because those are rough. But that allocation would be to increase academic achievements for students, helping the district improve the teacher and our principal quality. So if the State Department of Education changes something with math or changes something with reading, these funds are used to help allow the people who work in this school to become better trained to help the children. That's it in a nutshell. All right, Title IV. So this one is a little bit different because it can get into the more well-roundedness, conditions of student learning, and also to improve technology. And so oftentimes, this money can be used for social programs, like social workers. I'll just go out a plethora of examples. Could be, that the school system decides they want to focus on bullying. Could be the school system wants to focus on attendance. Those are just 2 broad examples. And I think Brooks Elementary is going to focus on attendance this year. That's one of the topics Ms. Owens really wanted us to hit on. And so the needs and things shift from year to year. And so it could be something, when you're Next, safety has been an issue in the past. And, you know, when there's heightened awareness or heightened events that cause concerns, and, you know, the school system may have changed in focus there. Some other examples were, you know, related to computer safety, online safety, or like some of the apps, phone apps and those kind of things that can be very, very dangerous. Those are all things that I know of that Title IV has been used for to address, and some of those may be, and some of those not. I said I'm gonna throw a bunch out there. I figured that they may choose some of those. That's pretty much it. Questions? The numbers were blank, and so we're not told you why. It's still not finalized. I'll
Awesome.
give you back now.
Thank you, Mr. Hagan.
Here's your